Prince as part of Westlife and as a solo artist, but it's been over 8 years since today's guest released any music here in the UK.
Rub it in.
But that's about to change because he is releasing a brand new album called The Irish Connection. We welcome Brian McFadden.
Good afternoon, evening, good night. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well.
Good. It's been since 2005 since you released an album here in the UK. Wow, it seems a long time.
It's almost 10 years.
It's
almost.
almost 10 years. How come you've left us for so long?
I don't know. I've been in Australia for most of it, and it doesn't feel like I have been away really because I've been releasing records in Australia for, I've had 4 albums in Australia now. But I guess obviously I haven't released them here. I didn't have a record deal here for a good part of 4 years. So I kind of didn't really have any need to come back and put out music, but I'm working with EMI now for this record. So yeah, the time just seems right to come back.
So what kept you in Oz for so long?
Well, obviously besides doing the music, I had TV work as well. I was doing a show called Football Superstar and then went on to do Australia's Got Talent. So I was pretty much just so busy over there and things were going well. I think to come back to the UK would have taken a lot of time, a lot of work, and I couldn't really fit it in, and I had to focus on where my strong parts were, which was Australia. So it pretty much kept me there till now.
Yeah, fair enough. And what was it like judging Australia's Got Talent?
It's good. It's kind of weird being on the other side of the fence, because as an artist, you're a real perfectionist and you think about all these things yourself. So it's kind of mean sitting there and telling somebody that this part of your act is no good. But by the end, I kind of just got into the phase of watching it and thinking, is this entertaining and am I enjoying it? And if I am, I'd say yes, and if I wasn't, I'd say no.
Cool, fair dues. But
it's fun.
It's fun times.
Yeah.
But you're back here on UK soil now to release a new album. It's called The Irish Connection. Tell us about the concept behind it.
Well, I've wanted to do a record like this for a long time, of doing a collection of my favourite Irish songs. And to be honest with you, I was in the middle of writing my new original material record when the Ronan Keating tour came along. So I had to have something to come back with to kind of bridge the 2 albums, and my original album wasn't going to be ready in time, so I decided I'd focus on this project before Christmas. And it was a nice thing to do for me because there was a lot of the songs that I would have listened to growing up as a kid, and taking some of these modern artists like Snow Patrol and Damien Rice and challenging myself to try and make them sound like a Brian McFadden song. It was a lot of fun to do. And obviously I've done some duets on the album as well, which made it even more exciting, having Sinead O'Connor and Ronan Keating and people like that on the album. So it was a good, fun project to do.
And did it take you a while to get the songs together? Because it must have been a big catalogue of songs to choose from.
Yeah, there was a lot. I think I had a few already in mind for a long time. No Frontiers and Black is the Colour were always songs that I wanted to cover because they're kind of these classic Irish songs. I think deciding on some of the newer acts was more difficult. There's probably some acts that I left out, like the Corrs. I didn't do a chorus on, which I probably should have. But there's so many. When you look at people like Van Morrison, Enya, Damien Rice, Snow Patrol, U2, there's just so many people. So there was a few songs that were just my favourites, like The Cranberries' Dream is one of my all-time favourite songs, and I had to do that. And the rest then I kind of decided which would be the most challenging. So for Damien Rice, to try and take that really 9 Crimes, which is so stripped back and bare, to try and make that sound almost like a pop record was a challenge. And to do an Enya song, to make that sound pop was hard because I think of Enya and I think that, if a witch had an iPod, it would just be all Enya songs. So to try and take that sound and make it sound like a Brian McFadden song was a challenge, but it was a lot of fun.
Was it nerve-wracking as well, trying to get these songs and make them your own?
Not really. I haven't really thought about it yet. Like when I was in the studio with Sinead O'Connor, I had already done a cover of her Nothing Compares to You, the Prince song. And she asked me about it and I just said, I haven't done it yet. Because I didn't want to sit there and watch Sinead O'Connor listen to me doing Sinead O'Connor. So I'm waiting to see. I do know one person, Aslan, I did a cover of their song, which is an Irish band. Yeah. He actually sings on the record and he actually really liked my version, which was good. Oh, cool. But the rest I don't know. I'm waiting for Bono to ring and give out about All I Want Is You. But like, it's the Irish Connection. It doesn't really get any more Irish than that. It's me and Ronan. So it's basically Boyzone and Westlife covering a U2 song. It doesn't get any more Irish than that. Yeah. All you need is a little leprechaun dancing in the video and we're sweet. Drowning ourselves in Guinness. Smoking shamrocks, we'll be all the way there.
Well, let's take a look at the video from the album. Would you like to do the honours and introduce it for us?
I can. This is me, Brian McFadden, featuring Ronan Keating, doing All I Want Is You. Got it right.
Back with today's guest is the very Irish, very lovely Brian McFadden.
Irish.
Irish. So you've been on tour with Ronan Keating. What's that been like?
Boring. Oh. We spoke about doing this back in October in Australia, and you know, it sounded like it was going to be fun because me and him in Australia, we drink a lot and have fun together. And I was thinking, imagine taking this on the road.
Yeah.
Like these nights in Australia, putting wheels on it and moving it. I was like, this is going to be great. It wasn't. Like we didn't drink at all. The most rock and roll moment was sitting in his dressing room in Birmingham, going through his tea collection. He's got all these different teas for his voice. He's like, that's for the one when I have a scratchy voice. That's for the one when it's all sore and I can't sing. And this one opens up my voice. And I'm like, that's not rock and roll. We're sitting talking about your Twinings tea collection. What happened to the old days of vodka?
It's all gone.
It's all gone.
It's all gone. Now,
Pairing grey hairs going, you got one there? And he's like, yeah, you got one in your beard, look. It was not very rock and roll.
Ronan, sort it out.
Well, I think it was good for us though, because it was nice for us to settle down and actually focus on music again.
Yeah.
But the hard part was remembering lyrics, because I think when I used to drink when I go on stage, the lyrics would just naturally come because it's that pressure. But this time it was a real strain because I'm like, I'm thinking consciously, I'm going to forget the lyrics. But I think that's what happens when you get older as well. Like lyrics become a real problem. Because you see Elton John, he's got a karaoke machine in front of him. You see that little...
Has he?
Yeah, he's got a little monitor with the auto cue running back. I don't have one of them. We don't have the budget for that. So I had A4 pages in a pink folder going back and forward. But things get really weird when you get old, especially in the music industry. Like, weird things happen now. Like, when I watch porn now, I'm looking at the bed going, that looks really comfy, that bed. You know, weird things that happen when you get old.
Okay.
Do you ever notice that? You're still young.
I'm still young and fresh. Yeah. I think you should maybe drink those tea bags at, what's it, Ronan's sort of...
I think maybe I've drank too much tea. I've had a lot of coffee today.
Now, we can't chat to you about touching base on Westlife. Obviously, that was a big part of your life. So what was it like being a part of one of the biggest boy bands of all time?
It was amazing. You know, it's all a big blur now, though, because it all happened so fast and so much happened so quick that it's, you know, it's kind of hard to sit back and pinpoint any things that happened. People always ask what was my favourite memory, and I just can't pick one out. There has been so many things that happened, and every single day something different happened. We're in a different country. Incredible things happened, you know. And for five guys who came from Ireland from nothing, like I worked at McDonald's right before I got into Westlife, and we all had... Mark was still delivering pizzas when we were rehearsing as Westlife. That's what we came from. So we always had these dreams and goals to reach. You know, our first one would have been just to get a record deal. That happened. Then it was imagine having a #1 single. That happened. And we kept setting these goals, and they just kept happening. And I think the whole thing was so surreal because it happened so fast that we'd gone from literally working at McDonald's and having, you know, delivery pizza boy jobs to a year later having 4 #1 singles, a #1 album, and just about to start a world tour. It was so hard to comprehend all of that. And I don't think I realised how successful or how lucky or how amazing the whole thing was until after I left Westlife. When I sat back, they kept going and kept working, but I sat back and had all these months off, and you start looking at YouTube videos and going, God, I don't even remember that happening, but how amazing was that? You know, and things, like so many different things have happened since then that I realised how much we've done that I don't even remember. Like I had a woman a couple of weeks ago say to me, oh, I met you years ago when you were in Westlife. And I was like, oh, okay, which is weird to start with because you're like, that doesn't really narrow it down. And she goes, it was when you did that Graham Norton special. And I was like, I've never met Graham Norton before. And I genuinely was like, I've never met Graham Norton. And she started showing me photographs of me doing a Graham Norton special with Westlife. And I was like, I don't even remember that. I'm looking at the photographs, seamless, and I thought it was superimposed. That's how weird it is. So much happened that it just happened so fast. And I look at bands now like One Direction and The Wanted. And I can see it in them. Like everyone thinks it must be amazing, but you can see they're just getting dragged left, right, and centre. And it's so hectic. But I look back now and go, you know, the luckiest guys in the world we were.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you left 6 years in Westlife at the height of their career. Was it always on your mind to leave for a while, or is it sort of like, right, I want to go, gone?
I think it's, you know, something like that, a decision like that, it doesn't just happen overnight, you know, and it was a build-up of a lot of things. And, you know, in hindsight, I look back now and I think what I probably needed was time off. You know, if I had been able to take maybe 6 weeks or 12 weeks off and kind of recouped and just taken everything in, things might have been different and I might have stayed and carried on, but I had to make a decision when I made it. You know, it had got to the stage, unfortunately for me, where I didn't appreciate it anymore and I wasn't enjoying it. And if you're getting up on stage and you're not enjoying it anymore, then you're not doing the right thing. You know, something was wrong. Because music's my first love in life. I love everything about it. And the fact that I'd stopped loving doing what I was doing, I knew something was wrong. So I had to make that decision. And I wish I could have stayed longer. And, you know, I had the time of my life in Westlife, but I had to do what I had to do.
Now, the guys said farewell to the music industry last year and played their last show in Dublin.
Yeah.
Were you asked to rejoin them to do that show? No?
No, I think Westlife were together. They were together 7 years after I left. So, you know, I think we all see it as two different bands. There was the original Westlife and then the four-piece Westlife, which was a brand new band, because when I left, you know, I saw the boys, they got completely, you know, they got re-hyped into everything. They got so driven, and they really wanted it again. And it was a new lease of life for them as well. So I think we both see it as that is a new band. So it wouldn't have made any sense me coming back. Like, what was the point of me coming back to sing, you know, of all the songs they've released since I've left, they would have been doing most of them in that final show. So I would have been standing like an idiot for most of it anyway.
Swaying along to a few of their tunes.
I don't know this one.
Now, Robbie eventually joined Take That years down the line. So would you be up for doing like a reunion with Westlife, like years and years down the line, if you were asked to do like an album? And
of course, if they ever asked me to do it, of course I would. Yeah, we had so much fun together, you know. And that's the one thing I miss about being in Westlife, was you can't beat the crack of having 5 lads in a row together. You know, the mischief, the things you get up to, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
It was like a big school trip for the 5 of us for the whole time. So I miss that, and I miss their you know, companionship on the road and stuff like that. So I would definitely do it again.
And you might be able to remember it this time round.
Hopefully I will, yeah. If I keep drinking those Ronan Keating teas, I'll be grand.
Now, you've got first-hand experience of being in a boy band and quitting a boy band. So how long do you reckon One Direction have got before they hit stormy waters? What do you reckon?
Well, it seems like they're almost going even faster than Westlife were. And they're so big. And obviously with the American thing as well, that's huge. I would hope they would last a long time. But the good thing about One Direction is they are surrounded by some really great people. Like, pretty much most of the people around them were around Westlife in the days. Like Paul Higgins, their tour manager, he was part of Westlife, and he worked with me as well. So these are people who have a lot of experience of exactly what they're going through. So it's, you know, if anybody tries to get carried away, they've got really good people to keep them grounded. So I reckon One Direction will probably be around for a long, long time, as long as they keep enjoying it, you know, they should be.
Okay, and if you had to put your money on which member of 1D would leave, I know we're giving you these tough questions.
No, you know, because I was asked this the other day.
Oh no!
I got asked this on Radio Yorkshire, right? Asked me if this exact question, if one member of One Direction was going to leave, who would I say? And I said, I don't know. And they go, well, just pick one. So I said Niall, because Niall's Irish and he has that little glint in his eye. And I was like, he's the cheeky chappy. It'll be Niall. Next thing, I'm getting bombarded by One Direction fans telling me to go kill myself and shut your face.
No.
And I'm like, wow, you people are weird. So no, I don't think any of them are ever going to leave. They're going to be. They will eventually die 105 years old together, all in one coffin with a big 1D on it, and they'll be kept preserved for the rest of the time.
But so if one member was to go solo and do really well,
none of them. No, 1D forever. I've got One Direction's faces tattooed on my back. If one of them left, it'd be worthless. No.
Well, Brian, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank
what
you.
are your plans for the rest of this year?
I'm going to bring this album out now. Then I'm hopefully going to do a little tour in the UK and Ireland. And then maybe sometime in the late year, October, November, maybe I'll have my original album ready to go. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to be working on that pretty much from now till then.
Cool, so you're going to be staying here in the UK now?
I'm back.
Yeah, back for good.
I'm going back for good.
Well, good luck with all of that. We're going to sign out with a music video. You get to choose which video we sign out with out of the 3 that I've got.
Okay.
So would you like Westlife Swear It Again?
Yeah.
Would you like Brian McFadden, Real to Me?
Right.
Or would you like Westlife, If I Let You Go?
I would go with If I Let You Go.
Oh.
Because I've got to tell you a great little story about this video.
Yeah.
The very end, we shot this video in Tenerife. And I remember the night, because it was the night that Manchester United played Bayern Munich in the Champions League final. So we were really anxious to get out because we wanted to go to a pub to watch the game. So we were getting all a bit giddy by the end. And that last shot, you'll see it, the 5 of us are walking away on the beach. We all have our flies down and our little Westlifes are all hanging out. Yeah. No one knows that, but you know it now.
We know it now. Yeah. I'll have to imagine that when I'm watching this video. So here it is, your choice. Westlife, If I Let You Go.